yoga is also playing a significant role in the psychosocial care and rehabilitation of COVID-19 patients in quarantine and isolation. It is particularly helpful in allaying their fears and anxiety. God will always be there with us and give us the strength to meet the difficulties of life. Let's move on to the day with an auspicious prayer by Nitya.
Om Namami Dhanvantarim Adidevam Surasurairvandita Padapadmam Loke Jararupaya Mrityunasham Dadaramesham Vividaushadina Shirapte Ruditam Devam Pitavastram Chaturbhujam Namami Dhanvantarim Nityam Nanagada Vishodanam Nanagada Vishodanam Saraswati Namasubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada.
Thank you, Nitya. I take this opportunity to welcome all the dignitaries, our beloved chief guest, principal, teachers, doctors, and students on behalf of Ayurnandan team and the Department of Swasthavrita. The best teachers are those who show you where to look but don't tell you what to see. Such a teacher, our esteemed principal, Dr. M. Kritika ma'am, is here to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Harshini. Namaste and warm greetings to one and all. I welcome all the participants of this Ayurnandan web series. Today, on this special occasion, the International Yoga Day, which is celebrated every year on June 21st, I extend my warm welcome to our dear guest speaker, Dr. Diana, Assistant Professor, Government Ayurveda Medical College, Nagarkoil. On behalf of our management, Sri Nanda Educational Trust and Nanda Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Erode, once again, I extend my warm welcome to our chief guest and speaker, Dr. Diana, the participants of this day, and my dear students, and my dear teaching fraternity, and non-teaching staff, and other guests present in this web series. Every year, we celebrate this International Yoga Day, which was started by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. The aim of this celebration is for well-being of the individual, which in turn is the well-being of the society and also our nation. So today, during this pandemic, everyone would have realized that well-being of individual is most important to fight against this coronavirus. Ayurveda very clearly says that right from the Dinacharya that everyone should follow Yama and Niyama. I hope everyone knows that Yama and Niyama are the first two steps to attain the Samadhi of Ashtasiddha Yoga. But today, we think that practicing asanas, that is one of the steps in that 8 stages, that is yoga asana. So that is most important. But to perform asanas, yama and niyama is very much important. That is following the patya ahara and vihara, which is rightly mentioned in Ashtanga Hridaya in the first 2 chapters, that is in Dinacharya. All the sadvritas and everything. Being an Ayurvedic student, we have to emphasize and insist on this before doing any asanas. So if you want to just stop with asana, or even if you to lead the further thing like pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi, you need yama and niyama. So without yama and niyama, that is not possible. So on this International Yoga Day, even though every year we celebrate, we should actually improve our lifestyle, not just on this day, just being merely doing any one asana just to celebrate this day is not important. But we have to follow the same all through the year or all through our life. It is not must that we have to do all the asana. So whenever we do asana, it should be comfortable to us. To live the life comfortable, we are doing asana. So it should not be very difficult based on your lifestyle and based on your work schedule and your other activities, being whether a student or an adult or a young kid or a child, whatever it may be, based on the age, you can choose the asana and you can perform through your lifetime, which will make you healthy always and increase your lifespan. So living the life with health is most important. And let us take a vow on this day that we will practice yoga every day to make our life healthy and have a long lifespan. So thank you for being a participant in this Ayurnandan web series and also on this International Yoga Day. I welcome once again everyone, and I thank all the coordinators of this function, my dear students of first year and second year, and my dear teachers of Department of Swastavrita and Yoga, Dr. Dhanvantari and Dr. Parvati. And I also thank my beloved students, Harshini, Rupika and Tejashri and Nitya for coordinating this program and to make this program a successful one. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Speech is power. Speech is to persuade. Speech is to convert. Speech is to compel. A speech should not just be a sharing of information, but a sharing of yourself. I am overwhelmed to call Ms. Agashweta to deliver a speech on International Yoga Day.
A pleasant morning to all. The International Day of Yoga has been celebrating annually on June since 2015, following its inception in the United Nations General Assembly in 2014, and this is the 7th International Yoga Day. Yoga is the physical, mental, and spiritual practice which originated in India. Our Indian Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, in his UN address, suggested the date of 21 June as it is the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere and shares a special significance in many parts of the world. This year, the theme of International Yoga Day is Yoga for Well-Being. Yoga is the medicine that has the power to cure any disease of the universe. Yoga is not only making physically well, but will calm our mind and soul, and it also helps to get relief from the stress. Yoga literally means union or join together in Sanskrit. A verse from the Yoga Sutra that Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha describes yoga as the settled state of mind. By doing different postures of Yogasana, one can able to balance the doshas in our body. Yoga aims to cleanse the nadi. The nadi that Ida Nadi and the Pingala Nadi are believed to be stimulated through different pranayama practices. But trying to do that without Ayurvedic principles for removing any disease is like hopping on one leg. That's why traditional yoga schools are always use Ayurvedic principles and yogas together, because these two are so interdependent. Prevention is better than cure. So everyone should practice yoga and Ayurveda to lead a healthy life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agashweta. I would like to invite Dr. Vijayaraghava Dhanvantari, HOD of Swastavrita Department, to introduce today's speaker.
Sorry for the interruption. Just a word. I have forgotten Dr. Rahashweta. Just a second. I have forgotten that Rahashweta is also in this program. And I thank Rahashweta for briefing about yoga and its importance. Thank you.
Can I start?
Yes, sir.
Namaste, Vaidyo Narayana Hari. Good morning, all of you. First of all, it's great opportunity and refreshing to meet you all virtually amidst this pandemic. Hope you are all safe and sound. As we all know, it's 7th International Yoga Day. Being in the field of Ayurveda family, it's a real honor for all of us gathered for this webinar arranged by the Department of Swasthavrta, Nanda Ayurveda Medical College, and to discuss the role of yoga in COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure it would be more interesting and informative to hear from the main speaker, Dr. Diana. Dr. Diana, the first PG candidate from Tamil Nadu in the Department of Swasthavrta. Dr. Diana has completed BAMS in 2004 from the famous Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. She worked as medical officer at Santagiri Ayurveda Hospital and conducted many lifestyle disorders managements through PG MD Swasthavrta from Dr. BNM Rural Ayurveda Medical College and Research Center, Bijapur. Since 2013, working as a lecturer in the Department of Swasthavrta at Government Ayurveda Medical College, Kotar, Nagarkoil. Now let us hear from Dr. Diana. Dr. Diana, kindly begin with this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram munina padanjalim pranjalirana tosmin. I am pleased to invite Dr. Diana Shalin to take over the virtual stage on the topic role of yoga in COVID-19 pandemic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, one and all. Before going ahead, I thank Dr. Kritika Madam, Principal of Nanda Ayurveda Medical College, Erode, Dr. Vijay Dhanvantari, HOD, Department of Swasthavrta, Dr. Parvati Raj, Assistant Professor, Department of Swasthavrta, Nanda Ayurveda Medical College, Erode, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts related to role of yoga in COVID-19 pandemic. On this occasion of 7th International Yoga Day, on the motto, that is the theme, Yoga for Well-Being, which is being celebrated all over the world, I wish all the participants, students, doctors, and interesting ones who are registered and participating in this webinar. Happy International Yoga Day 2021. World community is facing an unprecedented pandemic novel coronavirus disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. It has been confirmed in over 210 countries. The virus had infected over 177 million people worldwide, and the number of deaths had reached over 3.8 million as of June 2021. The most severely affected countries include United States, Brazil, and India. So in this emergency, the role of yoga is inevitable. The aim is to improve the physical and mental health in addition to that of conventional care for the COVID-19 infection. Now we will enter into our discussion. Today, are you hearing me? Today we will discuss about role of yoga in COVID-19 pandemic. So COVID-19 pandemic, it is highly transmittable and pathogenic viral infection. The severity of COVID-19 symptoms is highly variable, ranging from unnoticeable to life-threatening. Mode of spread, as everyone knows, it is direct spread with droplet nuclei and indirect spread by exposing to infected areas, used things, etc. So pathophysiology, the viral entry and early infection by ACE2 and TMPRSS2, and then host immune response by changing the pro-inflammatory cytokine and chemokine release, then hyperinflammatory phase, and then to the multiple organ dysfunction. So the symptoms: fever, chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty in breathing, fatigue, muscle pain, body pain, headache, loss of taste, loss of smell, then sore throat, congestion, running nose, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. So the symptoms, they vary from mild to severe according to the infection. The symptoms, people with same infection may have different symptoms and they may change over time. Of people who show symptoms, 81% develop mild to moderate symptoms. 14% develop severe symptoms or more than 50% of lung involvement. On imaging, 5% suffer critical symptoms, that is respiratory failure, shock, or multi-organ dysfunction. So these are the symptoms and the corona impact on people. That is, what are the physiological effects that we face? The coronavirus, it is capable of modulating the host immune detection. It weakens the immune systems by reducing CD3, CD4, CD8 cells, makes vulnerable to infections, increases the inflammation, cytokine storm by altering the pro-inflammatory markers such as interleukin 6, interleukin 1 beta, tumor necrosis factor alpha, etc. And also the psychological effects. The psychological effects of COVID-19 varies from anxiety, fear, depression, stress, etc. that we all see what people face nowadays. Here, what is the role of yoga? We cannot say that yoga is a full answer for all these, but there are exceptions. In certain areas, yoga cannot reach at a full stretch, but even then, we can get a tremendous effect of yoga in this COVID-19 pandemic. So considering the interventions, we can divide it into pharmacological immune modulatory interventions and non-pharmacological immune modulatory interventions. Under pharmacological immune modulatory interventions, we include appropriate treatments for physical wellness, proper diet. Earlier, when the principal was saying the aharas, patya aharas, even in yoga, we are so that we can induce the serotonin which induce the good mood and a sense of happiness. It improves the body health, lung function, and oxygen saturation level. It also serves as a stress reducer, reduces the irritability, anxiety, fear, and depression. Also enhances the immune mechanism. It improves overall quality of life and improves the self-efficacy and self-confidence. So, regarding the origin, slightly the hints we'll see. The practice of yoga has been taught to date back to pre-Vedic Indian traditions, possibly in the Indus Valley civilization 5,000 years ago. The word yoga was mentioned in the oldest sacred text, the Rig Veda. Even we can see references in epics like Mahabharata and also this Upanishads, etc. Patanjali is considered as the father of modern yoga, and yoga is being also introduced in the West in early 19th century. Of many of its Eastern teachings and philosophies become westernized. Yoga, the term yoga is derived from the Sanskrit word yuj, means to unite or to combine. Yoga unites the mind with the body. It is a science of physical, mental, spiritual approach by which human being can achieve harmonious development of health of body, mind complex. Yoga is an invaluable gift of Indians' ancient tradition. It is also a holistic approach to health and well-being. Yoga keeps the mind healthy and body fit. So regarding the definitions of yoga, we find the references in Yoga Sutra of Patanjali as Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is, yoga is restraint of the activities of the mind. According to Bhagavad Gita, Samatvam Yoga Muchyate. That is, equality of mind. That is, evenness of mind is yoga. Also, yoga karmasu kaushalam means yoga is skillfulness in action. Earlier we said yoga chitta vritti nirodha. What are the chitta vrittis? Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, and smriti. That is the cessation of mental modification is chitta vrittis. So pramana, the sources of knowledge. Viparyaya, wrong interpretation. Vikalpa means imagination. Nidra, sleep, and smriti means memory. So cessation of all these mental modification is yoga. Again, mana prashamana ubaya yoga ithya abhidhyade. So yoga is a skillful trick to calm down the mind. It is a skillful trick to calm down the mind. Mind is the causative factor for the diseases. If there is any imbalance in the mind, it also shows in the sharira. So yoga is a skillful trick to calm down the mind. Also, tam yoga midi manyande stairyam indriya dharanam. It is a state of mastery over indriyas and mind. So yoga constitutes the ashtangas, 8 angas of yoga. What are they? Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. These angas are the evolutionary processes of refining man at all levels. So yama and niyamas, as such sadvritas mentioned in Ayurveda, that each and everyone should follow these practices. Yamas means the social ethics to follow. That is ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, kindness, truthfulness, non-stealing, moderation, and generosity. These are the social ethics, and personal practices like shaucha, purity, sandosha, contentment, tabas, austerity, swadhyaya, self-study, and ishvara pranidhana, surrender towards the God. So entering into asanas through these passages, that is by following yama and niyama, is the must. Next is asana, that is the postures that we follow to gain well-being and also promotion of health and also prevent the diseases. Then pranayama, control breathing, that is inhalation and exhalation. Pratyahara, we are controlling the sense organs towards going inward. Next, dharana, concentration, focus and attention is more. Then dhyana, deep concentration. And then we enter into the samadhi, that is the pure bliss, unity or union of Jivatma and Paramatma. So these are the 8 limbs that we have to follow. By following yama and niyama, we are improving our mental energy. And by following asana, pranayama, we are improving our physical energy. By following pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, we are improving our spiritual energy towards the ultimate bliss. So Behirangas are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara. Antarangas include dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Then asana. Related to asana, stiram sukham asanam. In which position we are stable and comfortable for a long period, it is said to be asana. Then asanena rujamhandi. By practicing asana, it reduces the pain. And hadasya pradama angatvat asanam purvamuchyade. In hada yoga, it is a pradamanga, first anga, and kuriyat tadasanam stairyam arogyam changalagam. It gives strength, health, and lightness of the body. Then what are the rules for asanas? It can be performed in preventive as well as curative aspects. It can be performed according to the health conditions of the patient. There are a lot of asanas, say 84 lakhs of asanas, but according to the health condition, we can prescribe which asanas the patient can perform. The time duration also can be fixed according to the strength of the patient, could be performed with breathing to get good results. Always do in empty stomach, wear clean, loose cotton dresses before practicing asanas. Then there are certain guidelines for yoga practitioners in case of COVID-19, which is given by Ministry of Ayush. That is not only asana, but also the loosening exercises, asanas, relaxation techniques, and also pranayama have been included. For in COVID-19, as such, everyone cannot practice all asanas. So the asymptomatic cases can practice, mild and moderate also can practice somewhat easy asanas. And then, so according to these guidelines, we can select the asanas for the patients of COVID-19. First, the asanas are according to the postures. We can divide it into 4: standing postures, sitting postures, supine postures, and prone postures. First one, standing postures. The asanas for asymptomatic cases and mild cases, they perform even up to 45 minutes. According to the weak condition, they can be stopped even for 20 minutes or 10 minutes. So first one, standing postures, Tadasana. Tadasana, Vrikshasana, Ardha Kadi Chakrasana, Ardha Chakrasana, Trikonasana, Padahastasana. In this, it is not must that everyone should follow all these asanas. Even 1 or 2 asanas which are suiting them to overcome this pandemic can be selected. For well-being, we can practice all these according to our strength of the individuals. So first one, Tadasana. Stretch the hands towards the above the head and stand on your toes. This is Tadasana. The time duration is according to your strength, according to your ability to withstand. So withstand for a period, concentrate on your breathing, and then come Asana plays a vital role in COVID-19 patients. Then Vrikshasana, that is the tree pose. Here the patient or the person should stand erect, balance firmly on your left leg, and slowly lift your right leg and keep the sole in the inner part of the right knee. So stand erect, keep the hands as Namaskara Mudra above the hands, stretch the body straight and concentrate on breathing. If you're practicing this Vrikshasana, you can improve the neuromuscular coordination, helps in balance and endurance also. It improves the concentration and alertness also, improves the lung capacity. This is Vrikshasana. Next is Ardha Kadi Chakrasana. It plays a vital role in COVID-19. That is stand in Tadasana. Tadasana is the basis of standing asana. So stand in Tadasana. Lift your right hand above by inhalation. Then keep straight so that your biceps touch your ears. Then slowly tilt your body to the opposite side and be in a position. By exhalation, you are tilting the body towards the opposite side. Be very clear that your left hand should be straight and also the legs should be straight. And you concentrate on breathing. The time duration is given upon to your strength. That is how much you can withstand in the position, you withstand. Then slowly by exhaling, you come to your normalcy with your hands above. Then by inhaling, bring that hands down. This you can repeat for other side also by practicing breathing. So the effects are, it stretches the lateral thoracic muscles, increases the blood supply to them, and in turn it opens the thoracic cavity, helps to clear the blockages in lungs and improves breathing. So Ardha Kadi Chakrasana, then Ardha Chakrasana. Here stand in Tadasana, support the hip. By exhaling, come back. Then by inhaling, you can extend your neck downwards and concentrate on breathing. Stand in the position for 2 to 3 seconds and slowly by exhaling, you can come to Tadasana. This also enables expansion of the rib cage. It enables more amount of air enter into the lungs. It relaxes the bronchiole and enables the lung capacity. So this is Ardha Chakrasana. Then is Trikonasana. Here Trikonasana, stand in Tadasana, extend your feet for a little distance. Then by exhaling, you can touch your right ankle joint with your right leg and the left hand should be extended above. Your vision should be concentrated on your tip of the fingers. Maintain this posture and then slowly by exhalation, you can come to your normal posture. This asana also can be done for next side. By practicing this Trikonasana, you can increase the mobility of hip joints, lateral muscles of the rib cage. It reduces the resistance of abdominal and pelvic structures towards the breathing movements. Then Padahastasana, stand erect in Tadasana. By exhaling, you can bring your both the hands downwards and touch the feet. If you're practicing regularly, you can even touch below that is, you can touch the soles. So by doing Pada Hastasana and after standing for a while, then slowly you can retain by inhaling to the normalcy. So it improves the metabolism and concentration. The spinal nerves are stimulated and toned. It increases the vitality, massages the internal organs. So these are the standing postures which can be given to the asymptomatic and mild cases. So according to the condition of the patient, according to the strength of the patient, it can be altered according to the doctors. Then in sitting postures, we can include Padmasana, Bhadrasana, Vajrasana, Paschimottanasana, Ushtrasana, Shashankasana, and Gomukhasana. First one, Padmasana. It is an important meditative asana. Here, sit erect in Dandasana. That is, extend your legs before and sit straight. And then slowly you can bend your right knee and bring the sole in the that is left above the left thigh, and bring the left knee and bring the sole to the opposite thighs. Sit erect. Always be very careful that your spine be straight and concentrate on your breathing. You can close your eyes and also keep in any one mudras, Jnana Mudra or Chin Mudra, any one mudra you can keep, or Bhairava Mudra, you can keep your hands and concentrate on your breathing. It is very good to arouse the Kundalini power and relaxes the whole body, calms the mind, and very much useful in Padma, in COVID-19. Then considering the Bhadrasana, it is a gracious pose. Sit in Dandasana. Then bring both the soles in front of the genitalia and catch hold of the soles with your hands and concentrate on your breathing by closing your eyes. You can maintain in this posture according to your bala and your capacity to sit for a long. It is also important meditative posture. It awakens the Kundalini Shakti and calms the mind. Then Vajrasana. Sit in Dandasana posture. Fold both the legs at the knees and sit on the heels of the feet. Concentrate on breathing. Close your eyes and keep the hands in any one mudra and concentrate on your breathing. This is the only one asana which we can do just after taking food for digestion also. It keeps the mind calm, stable, and enables the easy energy flow in the nadis. Also, it expands the chest and improves concentration and digestion. Then is Ushtrasana, very, very effective. Here in Ushtrasana, that is, at first you are in Dandasana and come to the Vajrasana position. Stand on the knees and slowly by inhaling, you can touch the heels by both the hands. Then extend your neck in the opposite side and concentrate on your breathing. Now, by performing this Ushtrasana, you can stretch the whole chest and abdomen. It facilitates the deep breathing. It improves the posture of the rib cage. It increases the alveolar ventilation, activates the whole respiratory system. And next is Shashankasana. Shashankasana, that is hare pose. Stand in the position for 3 to 5 seconds, and slowly by inhaling, you can come to normal posture. It also relaxes the mind and stretches the upper body. Then Gomukhasana, very much effective. Here, you sit in Dandasana, slowly bend your left leg in the knees and bring near to the left buttocks, right buttocks, and the right leg should be folded and bring as if it is parallel to the left leg. Just like the face of the cow, the knees are looking similar, and here it also you have to catch hold of the hands. The fingers should be interlocked at the back. At first, you can just touch the fingers. Slowly, by gradually, when you are practicing, you can be able to interlock the fingers. So this also stretches the chest and improves the lung capacity. It improves the body posture and helps to improve exchange of oxygen in the basal regions of lungs. So that in dead space, you can improve the ventilation. Then comes the supine postures. In supine postures, we can include Sedu Bandhasana, Shavasana, and Matsyasana. First one, Sedu Bandhasana. Lie in the supine posture. Slowly bend your knees. Catch hold of the heels with the help of the hands, and slowly you can lift your waist above, just like that of a bridge. Like a bridge, you are improving, you are lifting your waist above. So it stretches the chest, it improves the lung capacity, it facilitates the relaxation. So this is Sedu Bandhasana. Then it's Matsyasana posture. Matsyasana posture, here you are sitting in Padmasana and slowly you are bending backwards by giving support with the help of the elbows and slowly keeping the head to the ground. Then you arrange in a position that you are getting a nice twist towards the spine and your vision be on the opposite side. So this is Matsyasana. It also stretches the rib cage and improves the lung capacity. Then Shavasana. It is very, very effective that it relaxes the whole body. Just you lie down in supine posture, freely concentrate on your joints. You start from your toes, ankle, then knees, then hip, then chest, then shoulder, neck, etc. You concentrate on each and every areas and gives a relaxation to both the body as well as mind. It relaxes the whole body, reduces the neuromuscular tension, and calms the mind. This is Shavasana. Then also the prone postures, Bhujangasana and Makarasana. Bhujangasana, just like Cobra pose, lie in the prone posture, support the hands near the chest, slowly lift your upper part of the trunk. You just lift your trunk. See that your umbilicus should be on the ground. Then slowly concentrate on your breathing. It stretches the chest and relieves the stress and fatigue, also improves the lung capacity. Bhujangasana. Then Makarasana, lie in prone posture, just like a cupping. You're keeping both the palm and rest the chin on the palm and lie relaxed. So this also gives deep relaxation, increases the lung capacity. So on the whole, these asanas, they give improves the chest capacity, improves the ventilation, and improves the oxygen saturation level. Here, the postures can be correlated with the awake proning, which have been given for the COVID-19 patients. Then next is the fourth anga is the pranayama, regulation of the breath. Tasmin sati shwasa prachvasayor gadi vichedaha pranayama. Controlling the inspiration and expiration or control of prana. Prana ayama. Prana means breath, ayama that is stretch or expand or lengthen. So The types of pranayama. First, there is Kumbhaka and Rechaka. That is, you have to inhale, you have to return, you have to exhale. Then again, there are 8 types of Kumbhakas. They are Suryabeti, Ujjayi, Sheetkari, Sheetali, Bastrika, Brahmari, Murcha, Plavini. These 8 types are under this pranayama. In this certain pranayama, which is very effective in COVID-19, we can see. Then pranayamena yuktena sarvaroga kshayo bhavet. According to Hada Yoga Pradipika, by proper practice of pranayama, we can eradicate all diseases, but improperly practiced leads to the causation of diseases. Ayukta abhyasa yogena sarvaroga samudbhava. So pranayama, it doesn't mean that we are taking just the air in and throwing it out, but along with oxygen, we are taking in the vital energy also. So mental disturbances like anxiety, fear, disappointment, anger can calm down through pranayama. And also, most important, negative thoughts will come to an end and fills with the positive thoughts. Pranayama makes lungs stronger, improves blood circulation, and keeps us healthy. So the pranayama which are generally used are Anulom Vilom pranayama, that is alternate nostril breathing. That is, sit in any one meditative postures. It can be Padmasana or Sukhasana or Bhadrasana or Vajrasana, which are comfortable to us. Then you perform Nasagra Mudra by Nasagra Mudra, and slowly you can inhale through the left nostril, then withhold, and then leave through the exhale through the right nostril. Here, at first, we cannot do in very proper manner. Slowly and gradually, you can increase the time duration. That is 1:4:2 is the correct duration. But slowly, when you are practicing, when you are starting, you can do with the counts. That is, you inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can withstand by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. This pattern you slowly increase, and you concentrate, and you can stretch your breathing properly. Then is Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. According to yoga, it is considered as we are having 72,000 nadis, and we should do this Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama for cleansing of this nadis so that we can be away from the diseases. Then Ujjayi Pranayama. In Ujjayi Pranayama, you should inhale through both the nostrils by constricted glottis. You are constricting the glottis and making a sound while inhaling and exhaling through the left nostril. This is Ujjayi Pranayama. Then Bastrika Pranayama. Here, rapid forceful breathing. That is, during both inhalation and exhalation, you are doing forceful breathing. It improves the lung capacity very much. Bastrika Pranayama. Then comes the Brahmari Pranayama, closing the ears. You are inhaling and exhaling through the humming bee breath. Repeat this pranayama for 5 to 10 times according to the health and condition of the patient to get the maximum effect. Then Kapalabhati Pranayama, here inhalation and exhalation. The inhalation should be slow and normal. Exhalation should be forceful. This is Kapalabhati Pranayama. This Kapalabhati, it comes under the Shat Karmas, which is the Shodhana procedure under yoga. So the benefits of pranayama is it maintains the health of respiratory tract and boosts the immunity. It increases the lung capacity. It balances the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves, reduces stress and provides relaxation also. It cleanses and stimulates all the nadis of our body. How yoga is working on stress? That is, in yoga, breathing, you're using the diaphragm. As you breathe, you can stimulate the vagus nerve by which the stress can be reduced. This vagus nerve is the main nerve of parasympathetic nervous system and extends from the medulla. So through the, we can get the effect like slowing the respiration, reducing the heart rate, lowers the blood pressure, stimulating the digestive activity, which is very much essential in COVID-19. So also by practicing pranayama, we can stimulate the Shat chakras, that is Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Ajna, and Sahasrara. We can stimulate the chakras also. Then important one is dhyana, or the meditation. It is the seventh anka of Ashtanga Yoga. That is deep concentration in which the mind is in the state of ekagra. You are going into deep meditation. Pratyahara, Dharana, and Dhyana. In Pratyahara, you are controlling the sense organs. Dharana, you are going into meditation or concentration. Dhyana, you are going into the deep concentration. Here, it is an effortless single thought condition. There is continuous thought about same object and there is no deviation even for a second. The types are there: objective meditation. You are concentrating on any object, picture, or a sound, or both. Or infinity meditation, you can contemplating on the universal energy. So this is dhyana. The dhyana is also very much essential in COVID-19. The meditation, it can be practiced along with that of asanas. The benefits of dhyana are it increases the calmness and relaxation, improves the psychological balance, cope up with the illness, enhances overall health and well-being, and lowers the metabolism. So there are a lot of research studies on meditation. Research studies have shown that meditation reduces anxiety and stress by reducing the cortisol level and enhancing the alpha brain wave. So meditation in anxiety, it will reduce the cortisol level and enhances the alpha brain wave. Also, it makes the body stable and calms the mind. It balances the functions of neuroendocrine system, thereby enhancing the immune system. Then koshas. According to yoga, the koshas Annamaya, Pranamaya, Panomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. The koshas, the ahara, kriyas, and asanas, we can stimulate the Annamaya kosha. By Pranamaya, we can stimulate the Pranamaya kosha and keep it healthy. And by Dharana and Dhyana, we can keep healthy the Manomaya koshas. Then mechanisms of yoga. All aspects of human psychophysiological functioning can be improved. Breath will be steady. Emotions become more balanced. Body is stilled and mind starts to calm down. Conscious focus on the present moment and integration breath pattern with coordinated smooth body movements, it gives tremendous effect. Then how our negative thoughts and emotions will affect our immune system. How it will act, that is by depression, there is high level of cortisol and low level of brain repairing chemical called the brain derived neurotrophic factor. So while depression, we are having this cortisol high and brain derived neurotrophic factor lowers, and yoga, it will reverse all those factors so that we can withstand all these mental depression. By practicing this asana, pranayama, and dhyana, we can balance the endocrinal and nervous control. It increases the mind and body control. It calms, it relaxes, it refreshes, and it gives the health and harmony of the people. So by practicing yoga, we can reduce depression, we can reduce anxiety, and improve the sleep and attention, and also increases the neurotropic factors and reduces the cortisol. So what are the relaxation techniques we can follow? Deep breathing, mind-body relaxation, listening of music, even laughing. Then Kriyas, the Shodhana Kriyas, Shatkarmas, we can follow in COVID-19 is Jalaneti, Sutraneti, Kapalabhati, and Vastra Dauti. We cannot do this for that is severe conditions of COVID-19 patients. But in case of asymptomatic cases, we can do Jalaneti with the Jalaneti part, with taking lukewarm water with salt. You can do this Jalaneti. The patient, they cannot do with without any instructors. So just we can do this Kriya so that we can get the effect. Only you can do with the concerned practitioners. Sutraneti, using a sutra, then Kapalabhati, forceful expression, then Vastra Dauti with the help of a 4-angular cloth. We can remove the kapha from the nadis. So this is the relaxation techniques. So applications of yoga in COVID-19. By Yama and Niyama, we are leading to avoid the stress and gain the mental relaxation. By asanas, we are encouraging the deeper breathing, increasing the lung capacity to improve oxygen intake, give a great stretch to the neck and back muscles. We are benefits of proning, which has been proved to improve the ventilation and keep the alveolar units open and assist easy breathing. So it increases the blood circulation, relaxes the whole body, which is very essential in this pandemic, and massage the internal organs. Great way to stimulate detoxification, decongest the chest, and rejuvenates the immunity defense mechanism, which is very much essential in COVID-19 rehabilitation in post-COVID management. Then also the researcher shows that yoga downplayed the pro-inflammatory markers such as interleukins, that is interleukin 6, interleukin 1 beta, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. And also it has increased the levels of anti-inflammatory markers such as interleukin 10 and interleukin 12. It also increases the CD3, CD4, and CD8 cells. Therefore, we are increasing the immune mechanism. So conclusion is, yoga practice reduces the risk of comorbid conditions in COVID-19. It strengthens the immune system by relieving the stress and anxiety, or directly improve the immune markers or both. Stress hormone like cortisol, which compromise the immune system, can be balanced. It maintains a balance in the autonomic nervous system through enhancing the parasympathetic activity and lowering the sympathetic activity. It enhances GABA, the inhibitory neurotransmitter, through stimulation of the vagus nerve. It helps us to stay physically strong and mentally balanced for well-being, as well as in COVID-19 pandemic, also in the post-COVID management. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Hereby, the participants are requested to raise their question in the chat box. Hereby, the participants are requested to raise their question in the chat box.
Okay, I have a question. Whether any yoga session is conducted in Government Ayurveda College, Nagarkoil, because so many patients have been admitted for COVID-19 pandemic in Nagarkoil. So any effort was taken to teach yoga for them? What is your practical experience in dealing with those patients?
Yes, ma'am, we are treating purely in Ayurvedic basis. In such patients, we have given a guidelines of this yogasanas. That is, we are giving yoga session at the morning. We are giving yoga session at 8:30. We are practicing this certain guidelines we have kept, 4 or 5 sitting asanas, and then we are practicing the breathing pranayamas. The internees, they are conducting classes with the supervision of the concerned duty doctor, and we are getting a tremendous effect in their oxygen saturation level, and also the physical condition as well as the psychological condition is being improved in that patients. Practically, we are experiencing that. Even now it is continuing today also. Nearly 300 patients have gone by taking this treatment under Ayurvedic measures.
So along with Ayurvedic medication, you are given yoga.
Yoga also.
Okay. What about this post-COVID management?
In post-COVID management, that we have not started yet, but we have to select the patients and their lung involvement, everything we have to understand. And according to that, we can prescribe this breathing pranayama techniques and also relaxation techniques, and slowly to regain their health along with rasayanas and medications, we can practice yoga.
So here we are choosing only in the preliminary level, we are choosing only mild cases of COVID-19 in the beginning stage, I think, for practicing yoga and pranayama.
Yeah.
Or you are taking moderate cases also.
Moderate cases, if they are, we will see the patients if they will be able to perform the asanas, and first they will be very moody and very feared. So according to the condition, by talking to them, if they are able to perform, slowly we are increasing the asanas even for the moderate cases. But it is very difficult. On the supervision of the doctor only, we are doing that.
Okay. Thank you. There is a question, I think. 2 questions. Okay. Thank you, Diana. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think questions are there in chat box for you. 2 questions.
Okay. Does Neti will work in deviated nasal septum? It will work, but without the concern from the doctor, we cannot do. That is according to the size of. First, the doctor should get consent from the doctor, so that slowly we can practice Neti. Suddenly, no need to go for Neti. First, you can do this Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, and then slowly you can practice Neti. Jala Neti first you can practice, and then go for Sutra Neti. Then next is, what is the minimal time duration for every asana? Minimal time duration, you can say 3 seconds, 3 seconds to 5 seconds. And if you are able to withstand your breathing pattern, you can improve that duration. Only 2 questions of that.
Ma'am, there is another question, ma'am.
Okay. What will be the concept called modern yoga? Yoga is become now modernized. When you are searching in YouTube or everything, you have lot of yoga teachers, and they are teaching online yoga classes, etc. So each one of them have their particular style of teaching yoga. So it is good only, but according to the bala of the patient, according to their interest, according to their disease condition, it should be thought very carefully and practiced carefully, so that even in Yoga Sutra, we are having a reference that if you are doing that is pranayama improper way, in an improper way, without practicing proper way, it will lead to the causation of lot of diseases. Ayukta abhyasena yogena sarvaroga karana. It will be the reason for the originating of diseases. So by proper teachings, you can do yoga clearly to get the proper therapeutic effect.
Diana, any specific yogasana for the children? Because now we have heard that the third wave, especially it affects the kids below 16. So do we have any specific yogas mentioned only for kids to improve their physical and mental strength?
Yeah, there are a lot of asanas, that is Marjari asana, cat pose, we can give for children. Even this asanas, the guidelines which we are practicing also can be performed for children. It will give tremendous effects, but slowly we have to make them interested in this and practice that properly. Even the same asanas which we told for this elders also can be practiced by the children. Specific asana for children, it is not mentioned, but we can practice the asanas that we practice for elders also. Prolonged asana practice can cause bone degeneration, ma'am. No, but some asanas, that is forward bending asanas, cannot be done in slip disc, or this, if you are having any problem in your spine. So please, no need to do forward bending asanas. You can do backward bending asanas. Then by continuously, if you are doing asana, you cannot, it won't disturb like that. Degeneration will occur. Ma'am, can yogasana improve eyesight? Yes, eyesight improving asanas. Trikonasana, your right hand, when you are touching the feet, you are concentrating on your fingers of the left. You are concentrating on the fingers of the left hand. This can improve eyesight. Then this in Shatkarmas, we are having a Shatkarma to improve the eyesight. By practicing, we can improve. Concentrating on the fingers by moving it. Eye exercises are there. Then by practicing properly, we can improve the eyesight. Kundalini Shakti, that is the serpent power which is under chakras. There is a power which can be stimulated by practicing this asanas. By practicing this meditative posture asanas, we can stimulate the supreme power. So by practicing, you can improve your Kundalini Shakti. What will do for the people who are at the stage who cannot do asanas? So if the person, they are unable to do asanas, you can practice this pranayama, or relaxation techniques. Just you can change their postures and make them to breathe deeply, intake of breath. That is only they are doing in awake proning in modern medicine to improve their ventilation. Does Surya Namaskara is suitable to everyone? How many cycle is normal to do? Yeah, Surya Namaskara is very much essential. That is 12 postures are there. Where normally we can perform 10 cycles. 10 cycles can be done. But starting only, if sometimes we'll be not able to perform this 10 cycles, if sometimes it feel difficult, slow, gradually you can increase. First you start with 5 rounds and then slowly you can increase your rounds. That is, you can say it is 10, even for 25 count you can improve. Trataka, you can do Trataka with the candle to improve the eyesight. With you're getting consent from the doctors, you can do Trataka, which gives tremendous effect in improving the eyesight.
Thank you, ma'am. One day with a great teacher is better than 1,000 days of active study. Thank you for sharing your wisdomful thought with us, ma'am. I would like to invite Dr. Parvati, Assistant Professor, Department of Swasthavatta, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Harshini. Good morning, everyone. Inspiring everyone for a wonderful International Yoga Day. As the founder of Iyengar Yoga, B.K.S. Iyengar has quoted, yoga doesn't transform the way we see things. It transforms the person who sees it. I am very humbled and honored to be the one giving the vote of thanks in such a distinguished occasion. Before I dive into my duty, I would like to phrase out few interesting points in today's session. Our madam has enlightened us with the intriguing facts of yoga, which is relevant to the current pandemic. Madam has pointed out that yoga practices enhances the emotional control by increasing the amount of serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter, that which leads to the good mental status. And also she has emphasized the scientific aspect of yogasanas as well as the pranayamas, which can be practiced in asymptomatic and mild cases of COVID-19. And madam also shared the clinical experience. So try to be with yoga to improve your quality of life. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable thoughts and observations. On behalf of Nanda Ayurveda Medical College, Department of Swasthavatta, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the chief patrons, Thiru V. Shanmugan, Chairman, Sri Nanda Educational Trust, Sri S. Nandakumar Pradeep, Secretary, Sri Nanda Educational Trust, and Sri S. Tirumurthy, Secretary, Nanda Educational Institutions. I also wish to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. K. Krishnamurthy, Chief Administrative Officer, Nanda Educational Institutions, for their valuable support and inspiration. Thank you to our distinguished dignitaries. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. S.M. Diana Shalin, who honored this session with her boundless thoughts. Thank you, madam, for sharing your precious time with us. This event wouldn't have been a success without the immense guidance and wholehearted support of our beloved principal, Dr. M. Kritika. Your presence as well as welcome speech for the event was truly a blessing. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, madam. It's my privilege to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Apollo James, Administrative Officer, Nanda Indian Medicine Campus, for his immense support in organizing such an event even during the current situation. My heartfelt warmth to all the participants who made this event a grand success. I am indebted to all the teaching and non-teaching staff of our college for their immeasurable cooperation. Thank you one and all. Note to get all our dear students of Nanda Ayurveda Medical College, especially our team members, Tejasri, Rupika, Harshini, Rakashweta, and Nitya, for their enthusiastic involvement and sincerity in coordinating this webinar. Thank you, my dear students. My sincere gratitude to our HOD, Dr. T. Vijayaraghava Dhanvantari, for his valuable advice, guidance, and encouragement in every phase of organizing this webinar. Thank you, sir, for giving us all the moral support. I thank all the members from the bottom of my heart. Leaving out any individual, we wouldn't have made this event an emphatic success. So I would like to conclude with a thought. Yoga is a light, which once lit, it will never dim. The better your practice, the brighter your flame. Thank you all once again. May the flame in you brighten your life ahead. Once again, a happy International Yoga Day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. There is no real ending. It is just the place where you stop the story. I take this moment to thank everyone for making this session a grand success. Stay connected until the next webinar. It's Harshini signing off for the day. As we have reached the end of the session, I would like to fulfill this moment with Shanti Mantram.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Shukinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.